This week's Parsha is Parshas Tazriah, and it is also Parshas HaChodesh. As we get geared up for Pesach, and the Torah tells us in Parshas HaChodesh, we read about the Korban Pesach, and it was the get-out-of-jail-free card from Mitzrayim. It demanded of us, Chazal tell us, to take a seh, take the animal that represented the God of the Mitzrayim. Take it 4 days before the Korban, on Yud Nisan. Hold it for 4 days, and then shecht it, then slaughter it, and then roast it. But not just roast it in a regular way, roast it as the Torah describes, rosho al kra'av, sticking a skewer in it and roasting it in front of the Mitzrayim. Why all the details of this procedure? And our rabbis teach us that the reason is because Bnei Yisrael at this time had a certain slave mentality. They had been subjugated as avadim, as slaves to the Mitzrayim for 210 years. They needed to be extricated from that slave mentality. So they took the entity, the seh, the lamb that represented the God of the Mitzrayim, and they took it and they had to slaughter it. And then they had to specifically roast it, not to cook it, because when you roast meat, first of all, there's an odor. It smells, and the Mitzrayim were powerless to do anything about it. It was roasted whole in a manner that you could still see the form of the animal. And when you cook something, you put it into a pot, it starts to break down. Here, when you roast it, it doesn't break down. It's whole. It's visible. And the Mitzrayim were powerless to do anything about it. Then they ate the korban, and they couldn't leave any left over. And if anything was left over, it had to be absolutely burnt to ash. There was a tremendous message over here that was given to Bnei Yisrael as much as to the Mitzrayim, is that you are independent. You're free. You have you control your destiny. And we had to teach Bnei Yisrael that. And it was taught to them via the Korban Pesach. You control your destiny. You do what you're supposed to do. Have your eyes la'avinu shebashamayim, and go with confidence, with conviction. It's a core lesson in life, is that there's a lot of Mitzrayims around us, a lot of things that challenge us, that push us down, push us back, that enslave us. Understand that if we are committed, we forge forward, and we rely on Hashem, everything Bezras Hashem will work out. It's a core fundamental mission and message as we get towards Chag HaPesach, to learn from the Korban Pesach, from Parshat HaChodesh, something that we live by Yamim Hahem, Bazman Hazeh. Have a beautiful Shabbos.